happens in the next 12 to 18 months, especially in your sort of bar focused side of things? I know you're getting more into restaurants now, but specifically about bars, how do you see it happening?
I heard an interesting. I heard a scientist this morning talk about pandemics typically take 18 months, no matter where they are, no matter what form or what format. So they're saying, June 2021, that's 18 months. And by that time, just throughout history, every pandemic has been 18 months, no matter what you do related to vaccines, no matter what you can kind of take some behavioral changes to lessen the incidence of death, but the pandemic's going to be where the pandemic's going to be. So I think that puts us at June 2021. What we've tried to do at our restaurants, we tried to redesign the business models entirely that allow us to pay people more money while being as profitable as we were in 2019 on 50% of sales. And it's a hard problem to figure out, but if you can create those finite parameters, I mean, it's almost like an algebra formula, where
The success you'll have coming out of this, if you can still maintain that mentality.
well, yeah, and there's a lot around it. And look, it's working a little bit. We have to get our sales up a bit, and what we're learning is we need a few more people to be able to, we're probably 2 or 3 people shy per restaurant to really consistently and feasibly meet the demand to allow us to hit that sales number that math proves out. But the math on paper right now is still proven out pretty well. So, I'll keep you guys posted on how it works. One of the challenges we're seeing is that it's a pretty inflexible model as it relates to a lot of the flexibility people tend to enjoy in hospitality. It's a lot of pressure, and people are learning a lot more, and they're growing tremendously from sort of their own personal development. And they're making a lot more money even than they did when things were great before the pandemic. But the trade-off is it's a tremendous amount of stress, pressure, and inflexibility. So the model is working, but we have to tweak some things. We need to bring on some parts on people. And the other thing is we can't be so rigid, because there are always going to be people who would rather make a little bit less per hour for the freedom and flexibility to be able to travel or to write and things like that. And so we've learned we can't be quite as absolute as we want it to be.
Kind of a base. Did you always have tip pooling? Did you reopen with tip pooling? Have you ever done any kind of tip pooling scenario?
We've always had tip pooling, but the managers, obviously the salaried positions, were never in the tip pool. Sure. They just were incentivized based on sales and profitability performance.
We did have tip pooling, and we reopened with it, and it allowed us to offer all the cooks about a $6 to $7, and so we got dishwashers making $23 an hour now, which is awesome.
That's killer.
It came from a sharing of the tips from the front of the house. So we lost some of our snipers who were making upwards of $50 an hour, because we leveled it out a little bit, and so it's been great. And in the process, we've been able to lower our labor costs because people are hustling, and they all know the harder they work and the more they work together, the earlier they get out, the more of the tips they share. So we don't have a lot of lingering. People are coming in later, they're leaving earlier. There's a lot more teamwork and sense of family, and that part has been really, really great.
That's killer to hear, man. That's awesome. I'm glad it's working out. We've always pooled, and we've kind of felt that way. We never had the back of the house in the pool, and now that we do, it's awesome. And look, one of the fun things that's happened is when it gets real busy, sometimes you'll see one of our chefs, one of our cooks working the host stand, checking people in, or
food and hustling ice to the bar and all of it. I mean, it has really created a pit crew mentality that they're getting the job done.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been special. Well, I'm glad to hear it's working out for you guys too. And I think that's the future. We always thought, to your point, I always felt like the number that we wanted to get to in terms of all of our culinary guys was $18, $19 an hour, because that exceeds what you can make driving an Uber. And I couldn't really figure out how to get there. The economic model didn't necessarily work. But what I also realized is in restaurants, the way things have always been done, we ask people to do a lot of dumb, wasteful shit. Yeah. And so if you really took an objective look at what we're asking people to do, and you eliminated things that were less essential so people could drill down on things that were more essential, you'd be shocked at how much more you can produce with the same number of people. And so what's ended up happening for us is, I don't know exactly what it is per hour, but annually people are making significantly more than they were when things were our best year ever. And things are still really, really tight down here in New Orleans, because to your point, the tourism market is non-existent, and you have a ton of great restaurants that are all trying to hold on. So there's a very limited local market that's been hit very hard, because our biggest employer is the hospitality sector. So we kind of get hurt twice.
Yeah. What do you see happening to the New Orleans restaurant community as a whole, um, 6, 12 months from now? Like, let's fast forward to April of 2021.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that it doesn't happen, but I think you'll probably see 25 or 30% of the restaurants that existed in New Orleans pre-COVID close in the next 4 to 6 months. And candidly, I'm thinking about closing one of ours too. It's just, you can't afford to, things are so tight right now. You can't afford to bleed money. You can't afford to waste human resources or capital. We have one that's just really struggling no matter what we do, and they're doing their best work ever, and it's just not working. So, instead of having them beat their heads against the wall, wind that one down, bring all of that talent to other restaurants that we have that really could use their leadership, and just let people kind of, and I just think that's going to happen. Unfortunately, I also think you're going to see food become even more democratic in New Orleans in a certain way. So some of the cool things that are happening is people are, talented chefs who maybe lost their positions or got huge pay cuts. They're cooking out of their own kitchens and setting up tables in their backyards with temporary catering permits and things like that. And they're doing dinners for 20 people, but it's really well curated, really well done. And without all the overhead, they're just paying for the food and the wine. Chefs are doing pretty well. I'll tell you what I'd like to see happen, what I think would be cool. One of the things we're flirting with Longway a bit. We have our culinary team that does our own food on Wednesdays through Sundays. And at Barrel Proof and Longway's Monday and Tuesday, Barrel Proof 7 nights a week, we do pop-ups. And what I think would be really cool is if we could start promoting chefs or culinary programming the way that we've always promoted bands. And a chef gets a gig, and you're gigging at Longway on Tuesday night, you're gigging at Sylvain on Friday night, you're playing at Lost Love Lounge on Wednesday night, but people kind of create almost the same dynamic that exists for live music we do with culinary programming. And so I think that might be a way to save some of these restaurants that would otherwise close. If people didn't have to worry about the economics of food quite as much, could just live off of the beverage revenue and the beverage expenses, and then have their kitchens be venues for some of this displaced culinary talent, I think you'll see a pretty innovative approach to how people consume food here in New Orleans. And it could be cool. It could be a good model to be copied.
Yeah, it's a new twist on food hall for sure. It's a different mentality. Venue.
Yeah, I mean, it changes the economics. It relieves a lot of pressure from the restaurateurs. But for the sous chef who was making $45,000 a year, he can pop up twice a week, do 5 to 750 a night on 2 nights, basically just pay for his food, and it's just kind of him rolling. He makes a lot more money than he was making as a sous chef on, it's intense days, but fewer days a week. It's an interesting twist.
Did you get PPP funding?
We did, yeah.
How did you handle that?
We handled it like a loan. We didn't use it the way that it was defined to be used. New Orleans was shut down. It literally would have been like dumping money over the side of the boat. So we figured that the spirit of that program was to kind of save jobs in the long term. And that's how we approached it. So we brought back about 40% of the workforce that we had pre-COVID. We shut down on March 15th voluntarily before the city shut down, and we were able to bring about 40% of the people back. But we didn't. They were on unemployment. We kept in constant communication with them. We spent 2 or 3 months really thinking about what this new business model looked like, and we brought everybody back on at the end of June and kind of started. So we got the PPP loans funded in early May, so we didn't hit the threshold of starting to spend. We have honored that threshold of spending 60% on labor. We're not spending on anything other than labor, rent, and insurance. So we're following those rules. But we didn't hire back the 75% quota required to get forgiveness, and we didn't start spending the money as soon as it was funded, which is also required. So we're doing our application for forgiveness now, And hopefully we can make some case based on being in a special industry, as we literally weren't allowed to operate. We didn't have any delivery mechanisms in place, so there was literally no way we could do it. And maybe we'll see. But I'm not planning on it being forgiven economically from a financial planning standpoint, which sucks.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
We got the funding. We acted like it didn't exist. We just we dug in hard. We kept 5 restaurants open. Those 5 carried the company on their shoulders. We furloughed about 650 people. We had 85 chefs and managers that we kept on salary, and we pivoted them over to the 5 restaurants that were open. So we had a chef at Jack's working the fry station at one of the chicken joints, and the GMs running food out to the cars, and everybody just jumped in. And like you, we just really sort of reevaluated everything. We had some slimming of upper management. We looked hard at all the expenses, the window cleaning, the house cleaning, just all the things that as we get bigger, we get lazier. We need to have someone do the steam cleaning of the sidewalk, and we have someone taking care of the plants. And we were just like, all that goes away. So we divided and split up all those roles, and we got real lean. And now we're still in that lean mode. So we've been able to kind of stay stable all summer. Weather in Colorado is nice, so we don't have the challenges you guys do in August, where it's like, yeah, it's nice, but it's Vietnam hot outside right now, and
Yeah.
to sit outside when it's 90 and 85% humidity. So like right now, October 15th, we'll seat the patio tonight at most of our restaurants, and it's a cooler day today. But we've had, our big challenge with outdoor seating all summer has been the forest fires that we've had, have really made it almost impossible to sit outside because you can't breathe. There's ash falling down like snow, and we had a big blow up of another fire that's about maybe 40, 50 miles as the crow flies from here. And when the wind's going the wrong way, we feel it. It's snowing ash and smoke. So we've been all right. The state of Colorado, the governor, business owner, entrepreneur, smart dude. The guy that was before him for 2 terms of office, John Hickenlooper, owned the first brewery in Colorado, restaurant owner. So we've had, 12 years now of business owner, entrepreneurial mindset running the state. And so we're quick to react. Governor Polis shut down the mountains August 19th or March 19th, March 20th, before spring break. They all the ski areas got closed. And that was huge for us because that's a big amount of traffic. You guys felt the crux of Mardi Gras and what that did for New Orleans. That's the closest thing to Mardi Gras as we have, which is spring break in the mountains.
Yeah.
I actually got COVID, and I didn't know where I got it until I was talking to a doctor in our backyard in May, and she asked my wife, "Hey, where do you think you got it?" And our answer was like, "Shit, the 1,000 hands we shake a day? I have no idea." And she said, "Hey, were you at this little bar on March 7th?" And I was like, "What?" And we were there listening to a friend's band, and happened to be a dude who had been in Italy, went to New York, went to Vail for 2 days, came down to the same bar, crowded little bar, snowy night, everybody shoulder to shoulder. And there were like 15 people that blew hot, 6, 7 days later from that experience of all being crowded into that bar. So it's been an interesting path of how the state has handled it, but I have nothing but high praise for our leadership at the state level. The Colorado Restaurant Association has done a ton with all of us in mind. Sonia Riggs shown up huge, and a couple of local restaurant guys are leading are very involved with the IRC and that funding that might come for all of us. So we got some people banging some drums out here for all the right reasons.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And look, man, I hope, I hope we can hold on. I hope everybody can hold on. A lot of, restaurants are a hard business or a hard industry. But my hope is once things get a little bit safer and the regulations ease up, people, you don't really appreciate what you have until it's almost gone. So my hope is, and we experienced this after Katrina in New Orleans, people flooded all of the cultural experiences and institutions affiliated with New Orleans right after Katrina. And that really helped us rebuild. Um, they went to the bars and the restaurants more than they probably could afford to because they wanted to make sure that it made it. They did everything related to live music and all the culture around Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, and so it was a really special time. And I'm hoping we experience that same thing in restaurants.